tried to be good. I did all my chores. I stayed out from underfoot, and I prayed to the God of Jacob that I would be a blessing, that my family would want me. But it wasn't enough. It was never enough. And so I would cry myself to sleep until not a tear was left. But then he came along. Zippo. I was walking through the marketplace, and I could feel his gaze upon me, drawing me in, the strength of it. And as he approached me through the marketplace, my heart began to flutter and my palms began to sweat. His eyes were sharper than arrows and more commanding than King David. And his words, they were like honey. And I melted at his touch. He promised me life. Then he stole it just as quickly. But his arms were strong and warm. And for once I felt wanted. I felt wanted. When he left, the only thing that remained of his existence was just another larger hole in my heart. Well, I couldn't see my family ever again. I couldn't even look them in the eye. I couldn't bear the thought of them looking at me in my shame. And so I left, and I began to wander the marketplace, and I would beg for any scrap of bread. I would ask for a drink of water from any family well. My soul reflected my body. It was desolate, dry, mere dust. How long I lived like this, I don't know. When one lives in pain, time seems irrelevant. Each minute seems like an eternity. But one day was different. One day was different. This one day, the day might have been different, but my hunger was the same. This hunger that I always had, my loneliness, was the same. The man, pretty much like all the others. Except this time I was, in the midst of my shame, I was ripped out from underneath the covers, and I was dragged through the neighborhood and brought to the temple courts. See, normally, I could hide this thing. I existed and I hid my shame almost like a secret disease. You know, as long as I stayed in the shadows, nobody had to confront my existence. Everybody could kind of pretend that their lives were tainted by the fact that I was there. And as I began to be marched through the marketplace with very specific intent, I had to look my sin right in the face. And there was no denying my existence. I tried to keep my eyes down so that I wouldn't have to look their insults. And then I was thrown like a rag doll at the feet of the one that they call master. And I wept because I was condemned. I was condemned. And I just waited for the sentence. I had never even heard of anything called mercy. Why would anybody show me mercy? I waited for the master to convict me, to perform the sentence. I was waiting for the blows that would come, either from his fists or from the words that he would say and insult and judge, and then eventually that condemnation of death. I waited. It seems like an eternity. And then, slowly he just rose and stood. I could see him out of the corner of my eye. But I couldn't bear to look. After he began to write in the sand, and then he stood up, and you know what he said? He said, "Whoever is here that is without sin, cast the first stone." I gasped my breath. Because in that moment I knew that it was coming. I prepared myself for the blows and the pain as the rocks would rain down, and I waited. And then I heard it. The echo of a thud. I was waiting for what would seem like a swift death, and then I heard it again. And again. And again. I was holding onto my blanket so hard that my knuckles were white, and my hands were shaking uncontrollably, and I couldn't bear to lift up my eyes. And I condemned to death would be released without punishment. I, who was guilty of being a woman of sin, had been shown mercy. Throughout the marketplace, in the weeks following, I could hear the rumors going around. There she is. There she is. There she is. That's the one. Jesus changed her life. So now, Jesus gave me my life back. And there's a name for his forgiveness. And it's called grace. There is a God that loves me, regardless of my sin and despite my past. There is a God that has given me a new beginning when I thought my life was over. His grace. I bathed in it until I was white as snow. So that's my story. The hole in my heart, it's not there anymore. It's been mended. The only way that it